this was a pathetic joke of an action movie. You know why? Because it wasn't an action movie. It wasn't even a John Rambo movie. Any reviewer saying how great this movie was or how good an action movie that it was is full of shit and an idiot and has no goddamn clue what they're talking about and has no idea what an action movie is. Much like the director and writer of this film. Jesus Christ. I mean, seriously. Go watch John Wick 1, okay? And then watch Last Blood. And explain to me how these two movies compare to each other as action movies. This movie is an hour and a half, okay? In the first hour and 15 minutes, I'm gonna tell you the only action scenes you get in this film, okay? It's the nice scene outside the club with John confronting El Flaco. It's the one where they're outside of the club and he's in the guy's pickup truck and he does it with the knife and he does the collarbone scene. There's that one, okay? There's John getting his ass kicked by the gang of Mexicans or the cartel guys. That lasted 10 seconds. And then we get John going to the building where Gabrielle is, okay? And him taking out those 3 guards and 2 customers, I guess, with the hammer. That's it. In an hour and 15 minutes of an action movie, those are the only action scenes you get. Explain to me how this is an action movie. I have seen musicals with more action than this movie. There are animated Disney films with more action than this movie. And you go, oh, well, what about the final scene? Yeah, that's it. Okay? An action movie isn't one giant fight scene at the end of the movie. That does not an action movie make, you morons. The movie actually goes the Avengers route and goes, yeah, we'll just save the big action scene for the end of the film. Because that's how action movies work apparently now. And not only that, the only reason everybody even loves the final action scene is because they were so deprived and starved for, action in an action movie that it was at least better than nothing. Because it was it wasn't even an action scene. It was a slasher flick scene. It was more John Rambo turning into Jigsaw but more hands-on. It was just ridiculous. Because by the time the last fight scene showed up, I didn't even care anymore. It was anticlimactic. It had no resolution. It was just... Oh, and what was the other thing? Stop saying the action picked up in the third act. Because it didn't. Okay? It was the last 10 minutes, you morons. Okay? Stop giving this movie some undeserved leeway. Oh, the action picked up in the third act. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It only picked up in the last 10 goddamn minutes of the film. An action movie. Okay, that's just my complaint of how this is nowhere close to a goddamn action film. Let's talk about the story and plot and the bullshit and stupid this movie is filled with. Now, just to preempt anybody, okay? Oh, what? It's an action film. It's a Rambo film. What are you expecting? Lawrence of Arabia? No. No. You know what I'm expecting? Rambo 2. Rambo 3. Rambo 4. Okay? This movie doesn't even stand up to Commando. It doesn't stand up to Gymkata or American Ninja or any of the other direct-to-video action films from the 80s and 90s. This thing isn't even on par with goddamn Gymkata to compare it with Lawrence of Arabia or Gone with the Wind or Citizen Kane. Are you kidding me? This doesn't even rank as an action. This wouldn't even make it as a direct-to-video action film. As for the lack of plot, I defy anyone to explain to me what the plot of this movie is, because there is none. There's no story, there's no plot. It's just a bunch of events tied together in such a forced, blatant, shoehorned in way needed just to keep the movie going. As an example, the movie literally establishes there's no reason for Gabrielle to go see her father. They resolve it. They establish there's no reason for her to go see her father. But the movie needs her to go see her father, otherwise the movie won't progress. The movie has to force Gabrielle, who has no reason to go see her father anymore, to go see her father, or the movie ends as she's driving away. So she turns around and she goes to see her father. Then she confronts her father. This was a joke. This was one of the most blatant heel turns I have ever seen in my life. I have seen wrestlers with more subtle heel turns than this. So she's talking to her father in the doorway, right? And he's quite easily congenial, amicable, nice, friendly, trying to not really bond with her, but like trying to, he's being nice to her. Then when she asks, I need to know why you left me, he closes in. All of a sudden, the lighting is dark. He's got these dark patches of shadow under his eyes. I'm quite literally expecting his eyes to glow red in the dark and his voice to become demonic. I'm expecting my pallbearer to be in the background cradling the urn. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go away. I have no use for you. I'm talking about The Undertaker. Yes, The Undertaker didn't have red eyes, but the thing was, it's in shadow, so it would have to be red eyes so it would be seen. You couldn't see his eye, whatever. The point is, this heel turn was just so abrupt and in your face, and it was like, why? He's irrelevant to the whole. He's irrelevant to the movie. Whether he had accepted her or apologized or did that stupid. I realized I had no interest in you whatsoever. None of that was irrelevant, because after she leaves, her friend sells her out to a sex ring. Why? Why does her friend sell her out to a sex ring? No goddamn clue. Movie has no idea, but the movie needs to have it. To have the movie progress somehow. So yeah, we'll just have the friend sell her out to a drug cartel because, I don't know, it's a Tuesday or something. Then she gets taken. Rambo finds out. Okay? So what does Rambo do? He goes to whatever the area is that the Martinez brothers are, and here's his plan. He's gonna walk up to them and do what? He's walking the streets or whatever up the hill. He's being surrounded by everybody. What was his plan, moron? Hey, movie, what was John Rambo's plan? To just walk up to the Martinez brothers and what? So then he gets his ass kicked, and we want you to live so that you can remember the lesson we're going to teach the lesson we're going to make your niece of. And then they beat the crap out of him and leave him for dead. Then this thank God for the journalist. How are we going to get John back into the movie after this ass kicking? Oh, I don't know. We'll just have the journalist show up and bring him to her house and care for him for 4 days. He was on her couch and she was nursing him for 4 days for no reason except, oh, well, I would do this for everybody. Really? Then why isn't your house filled with all the other people who are injured and decrepit and homeless and injured? No, you only did it to John because, the movie can't even justify its own stupid, even when it tried. So now they need John to rescue Gabrielle. But because they wasted so much time in this movie, they didn't even bother establishing for John to even know where Gabrielle is. So how are they going to be able to? So how is he going to be able to rescue her? Oh, no problem. The journalist knows. The movie needs to have the journalist know something there's no goddamn way she could possibly know, because, wait for it, that's the only way they can get the movie to progress. It's almost like there's a pattern going on. So then we have John go to the building where Gabrielle is. Okay? Now, I'm expecting, foolishly, that this is going to be the big rescue scene of the film. This is going to be a big, intense rescue scene. Nah. Knocks out the 3 guards with a hammer, goes upstairs, knocks out 2 of the customers, grabs Gabrielle, puts her in the truck, and drives off. That was easy. Why didn't you do that in the beginning? It was, oh my God. This should have been a big, dramatic action scene with him, fighting and dodging bullets and trying to get to Gabrielle, and be an intense, high-octane scene with him trying to get her in, at least a chase scene. There wasn't even a goddamn chase scene of them. This is not an action movie. For the love of God, this was not an action movie. This should have been a key scene in the movie. Nah, no gunfight. No, not even a goddamn car chase. This movie didn't even have a car chase scene in it. So he rescues Gabrielle, right? And she dies, unfortunately. Odd choice. I don't really know why they made her die. It didn't really mean anything, because it's like, because now he has a reason to kill them. Like he didn't have a reason before for kidnapping her and drugging her and doing what they did to her. That apparently wasn't good enough reason. But here's the problem, okay? The Martinez brothers aren't going after him because John needs time to booby trap the farm. Oh, the tunnels. I've got to talk about the tunnels. Why did the tunnels exist underneath the farm? No reason. The movie doesn't even establish the purpose of the tunnels. Were they built already? Were they already built when John got there? They don't lead to anything. They don't lead anywhere. They're just simply a crisscross of tunnels that intersect into each other. What's the goddamn purpose of the tunnels? Oh, so we can have the action scene at the end of the movie of these guys running around the tunnel. How lazy and pathetic can you possibly be, movie? Then we have the forge. It's a little thing, but this is how stupid and useless this movie is. He has, first of all, why in the name of God is John living in what I guess could be considered an underground bunker? It's his goddamn house. Why isn't he staying in one of the rooms in his own house? No reason. He's living in an underground shelter because, and there's not even a justifiable reason, because him going down the tunnels causes him flashbacks. Well, he's trying to get better. So why would he stay in an area that's causing him to have flashbacks when he can go, outside to a house and stay in... This movie has no goddamn... This guy's going, it's like the director went, it's Rambo, so I guess he would be in a shelter. He would be in a bomb shelter or something, or an underground shelter. Then we have the forge. The forge was a forge in an underground bunker, because that's how... This forge was a joke, and I know, again, it's a little thing, but I'm going to explain why it was so ridiculous. Because the forge served no other purpose except the director and the writers were like, well, how can we portray Rambo as an alpha male? And it's like they had no goddamn clue, and they went, I don't know, have them hammering metal on a forge. That'll work. That's the only reason there was a forge in the underground bunker, because they never go back to it again. When John is setting up the booby traps to the farm, he never once does anything with the forge. When they're chasing him and going around, there's never a scene where he stops or kills someone using the forge. The forge is never seen again. So why have the forge except try to establish this is what alpha males do, I guess? Because if it wasn't for the forge, I swear to God, they would have had him watching either a football game or an old black and white war movie to go, well, this is what Rambo and as an alpha male does. Because it's not like the writers and directors have any goddamn clue what an alpha male would do. Like, so anyway, oh God, where was I? This is what happens when I ramble and segue off. Anyway, so he has to set up the farm and all the booby traps so that way he can go and get the Martinez brothers to come chase him. The movie can't have the Martinez brothers go after him for, killing his man and stealing Gabrielle and doing all that, because Rambo wouldn't have had enough time to booby trap the farm. So they made it so the movie had it excuse me, that Rambo booby trapped the farm, then would go back to convince the Martinez brothers to come back, to come to the United States, come to his farm so that he can confront him on his home turf. That's how stupid this movie is. They purposely had to have it that the Martinez brothers didn't go after John because they needed to have John set up the traps on the farm first. Then John goes to want to kill Victor. He goes up. This shows how even more pathetic the scene earlier where John is going up to the Martinez brothers and is surrounded by all those gang members and gets beaten up. Because he goes back to the same place and only confronts 3 guards, and the next scene is him in Victor's bedroom. That was easy. Are you kidding me? This should have been another high energy action scene of him trying to fight his way, already prepared, already with the mindset of what he wants to do, with a plan. Nah, because that would make this an action movie. And this movie has no interest in actually making this an action movie. So then John, because Victor, you can hear the shower going. This scene killed me. The 2 scenes killed me. John, so you see John enter the bedroom and you can hear the shower. And John kills Victor off screen. Because when you're making an action movie, you want to have the action take place off goddamn screen. How do you screw up this so badly? Then, the next scene, right, you end up seeing Victor. He's in his bed, fully clothed. So what? John decapitated him, then dressed him up and laid him... It's a small thing, but my God, was it... John dressed him? Why would John dress him? What was the... Anyway, and then we get to the end of the movie where, Hugo is... The only actual legitimate action scene in this supposed action movie. An action movie with one action scene. Yay! I didn't even care at this point. Because the movie... The whole fight scene at the end with Hugo and his men didn't even make sense. Why? John wanted to kill Victor. He killed Victor. So, him killing Hugo and his men had no payoff, had no value. It was literally just a filler action scene just so that they could have an action scene in this movie. It was like if the final scene was him killing Victor, right? And it was Victor in the tunnel and Victor and Hugo and his men, and then he rips out, Victor's heart. I got it. That would have been the payoff. But he already killed Victor off screen. So the main guy that John actually wanted to kill, he's already killed off screen. Hugo was just a fill-in. Anyway, this was a pathetic attempt at an action movie. This was a pathetic joke of a Rambo movie. This was a pathetic movie. It was a nothing movie as far as I'm concerned. And people are gonna... The only reason anybody's even talking about it is because of the last 10 minutes and the controversy over it. I swear to God, the controversy over this film had to have been on purpose, because it's the only thing anybody's talking about in this movie. It's the only thing. The controversy is the only thing that this movie has. There's nothing in this movie to talk about. Anyway, I'm done with this film. I ranted enough. I'm out of here. See ya.